morning. Hello, 199. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Alright. It's Monday. It's Monday. Time to do this thing all over again. Hey, what's up, Lilo Gamer Pro? How are you doing, man? Back at it, right? We're back at it. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. I stole that from Jim Harbaugh? John Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh. Yes, hola. Hola. We're multilingual today. That's a there's not much Spanish I know, but I do know hola. ¿Cómo está? I know muy bien. Y usted, which I think means and you or something like that. I'm kind of a disappointment in my family because my grandma was from Honduras in Central America, and so my mom speaks fluent Spanish, and so does my sister. My sister actually got her college degree in Spanish. I, however, do not speak it. Oi, oh, hey, what's up, Raphael? How are you, man? Bonjour, yeah. Guten Tag. What was the one you said? Oh, hi. What language is that? Ohio? Oh, it's Japanese. That's a cool way to say. That's a cool way to say good morning. I like that. Japanese. I love that. Yeah. Japanese sounds like I worked for a Japanese company for a little bit, and whenever we'd have people from the parent company come and visit, and when I'd listen to them talk, I'd always think, man, that must be a hard language to learn. I mean, I'm sure it's not hard if you grow up in that culture. You know what I mean? I really like Yahalo. Is that how you say that? Yahalo? Though more informally, they have many different ways of saying it as well. Nice. It's always great when languages have more than one ways to say things. Let's see. If you come to Discord call real quick, I can say it. Oh, I was going to use Google Translate. Japanese.
Yaharo. Yaharo.
Oh, why does it say translate from Somali? That's random. Alright, let's see. Let's take care of all the housekeeping things. Yeah? Let's get our learning space set up. Pretty good text-to-speech, yeah. Google Translate's pretty good. Somebody in chat recommended that to me when I was having trouble figuring out how to say something. They were like, just pop it into Google Translate. Now I do that all the time. What's up, Mason? Good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Hope your day's going well. I'm good. Getting ready for work. And you? Yeah, that's this time of day, right? It's time to get ready for work. Yeah. Well, for me, I have a couple more hours before that has to happen, but yeah. I always wake up. I don't know about you, Mason, but like ever since I started working, really ever since I started going to like maybe high school, maybe 11th or 12th grade, I always hated like having to wake up and then like immediately leave the house to go to school or to work. And so I always get up like super early before I have to be somewhere because I kind of want to have this experience that I have like some free will on my work days, you know? Um, Otherwise, it feels like you wake up, you get ready, you immediately go into work, and you don't really get any time to yourself. I think we were on the select statement. Right? No, we were on reflection. That's what we're doing. And I think we were iteratively working through the test cases. If I remember right. You're right. I try to get up early myself. Yeah, my parents used to give me such a hard time about it. When I was in college, my mom used to fuss over it. So, because my first year of college, I lived at home, or like first semester and a half. I didn't move out with my wife or she was my girlfriend then, but I didn't move out with her until the spring of my freshman year in college. But my first class in college wasn't typically till like, or at least that freshman year wasn't till like 9 o'clock. But I'd still wake up at like 6, you know. And my mom would always give me such a hard time. She'd be like, you need to sleep more. And I don't know, I just feel like I need that time to kind of wake up slow, you know? Alright. Let's eat this orange. Then let's tear into some go. Tear into some go. Oh, also I probably need to pin a message, don't I? Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. I'm still trying to become a Go developer so I can use it for Go Power Rangers. Dude, I loved the Power Rangers growing up. I have a picture from my childhood for Halloween where me and my two siblings, we all dressed up as Power Rangers, and my brother ended up being the pink Power Ranger. Or was he the pink? Yeah, I think it was the pink Power Ranger. Good times, man. Good times. I'm actually going to add real quick. I think I'm going to add a stream elements commands for advent of code, because I think that's something it seems like I didn't realize how many people don't know about it. So I'm going to add a command for that so people can find the website a little easier. Because that seems to be something we get a lot of questions about. What's advent of code? We can always turn it off after it ends. What's the website? Get the about page. Okay. I think we're ready to go, yeah? Gotta head into meeting. I'll be back, promise. Yeah, no worries, Raphael. Have a good meeting, man. Meetings. God damn it. Someone's always calling a meeting. Just send me an email. I saw that last year. Someone was doing it in C#. Yeah, I did it in C# last year too. I really enjoy it, man. It's a ton of fun. There's a bunch of people making content around it, which is a blast. I love to see the dudes who like, or ladies, girls, or guys. I love to see the developers who they like crush it. They do it in like 30 minutes every day. It's wild. They stay up to like midnight. That thing hits the wire. They're on it. Crazy. Little old me, I'm over here just struggling. Struggling. Where did we leave off with this? This is where we left off right here. The next type we want to handle is maps. Okay. So let's copy that test case. And let's stick it into our other test cases. I feel like at this point, when you have a object in your code that is this big, right? You have an object that's this large and this hard coded. That's a bad way to say it. If you have an object that's this large and it's hard coded, I feel like this is when you need to extract this into probably like a separate file almost, and just export it from that package or that file. I will not do that, but that's something my brain is thinking about right now. CD reflection. Let's see, if we do go test, we should fail. Yep. And now we need to make it pass. And how are we going to make it pass? Well, we're going to come to our walk method, or our walk function. And we need to add a new case that handles case reflect .map, and Copilot's going to try to steal this from me. Disable Copilot. So we can get each of the keys, right? We can get each of the keys, and we can iterate over the keys. Then we can use the map index method to get the element at that index or at that key, and then grab the actual underlying thing, and then we're just going to walk with it. Although is there any way we can accomplish this for loop using this for loop? Let's see. However, by design, you cannot get values out of a map by index. It's only done by key. So that breaks our abstraction. Darn. How do we... Darn. Not how I would have put it, but okay. Also, what's your setup right now? You mean like what's my hardware and stuff, or like anything specific you're curious about? I can kind of touch on all of it generally, but it's really nothing to write home about. I mean, it's not anything super fancy, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Is Bran Stark in my motherfucking chat? Is the three-eyed raven in the chat? That's crazy. What's up, Bran? How are you? Big Game of Thrones. Big Game of Thrones nerd. Not you, me. I'm good. How are you? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Hardware and software. Okay, so just from a hardware perspective, I can do that one pretty easily using fast fetch. Let me see. So, okay, from a computer's perspective, this is what I'm working with. So I have this is a HP Elite Mini 800 G9 desktop PC. So nothing super crazy, just a little mini PC. It has an i7 14th gen processor. Again, you know, decent, but not like a Threadripper or anything. Then we have a, I guess this would be an integrated graphics card. I don't have dedicated graphics or dedicated GPU. This is the one part about this machine that I'm absolutely gassed about, and that is the 64 gigs of RAM. I've never had a machine with that many gigs of RAM on board, and then just some drives. This is my NAS, and then this is my Google Drive, and then this is my actual SSD. Decent LL meantime me with i7 8 gen. Well, it's all relative, okay? Is there slower, or is there something not as good? Yes. Is there something even better? Yes. This is really not. Yeah, it was a good deal too. It was like a couple $1,000 machine that I got for less than $1,000 on Amazon. So it was one of those things where I kind of knew I'd wanted a mini PC for a while, and then it went on sale on Amazon, and I was like, I gotta get this. So that's my computer. My camera that I use to stream is a Sony A6500. And it's just connected through whatever their webcam software is. The A6500. Where is it? Yeah, this guy. So it's not like the nicest camera. It's a few years old, but it does the job just fine. And then I have two lenses that I use to make content with. I have a 30 millimeter Sigma E-mount, which is what I'm using now, which I like because of the shallow. It gives a really nice shallow depth of field. It's a little bit tighter of a field of view than I probably want, but I'd like to have the 16 millimeter version. And then the other lens I use is an 18 to 16 G mount. No, not 18 to 10. Is it 18 to? I think it's 16 to 105 G mount Sony. If I could actually type. Maybe it is 18 to 105. Yeah, this guy right here. This is the other lens I use a lot on my camera. So that's kind of the hardware, I guess. I mean, I guess I also have a I don't know if anyone's actually interested in this, but I'm trying to answer Mason's question. This is the mouse I use, an MX Master. This is something I got this year. Before this, I was using an MX Anywhere, it was a little bit smaller, like lighter travel version of this mouse, I think. And then the keyboard I use is a Yunzi B75 Pro. This is the keyboard I use. I like it a lot. Not terribly expensive or high-end or anything, but, middle of the road, I think. Let's see, software. Software, I use OBS. Windows 11 is my operating system. What else? I use Lo-Fi Generator for my music. I use Stream Elements for all the different alerts and notifications that pop up on the screen. Yeah. If there's anything else, Mason, happy to elaborate on anything you're curious more about, but I think that's kind of a general overview. If I missed anything, let me know. Brand Stark, is AI taking over programming? I don't think so. I've posted several shorts about this, and it seems like it comes up almost every stream. I'm not an AI doomer. I'm kind of a middle of the road person. I think AI is super useful technology. has a lot of interesting applications. I think it lets us build applications that even 3 to 5 years ago would have been pretty difficult to build, and now anybody can kind of wire these kinds of things together. But that being said, I've worked with them enough as a user and as a developer that I'm not really threatened by them taking developer jobs. They're probably going to change developer jobs, like the way you work and what your work looks like is probably going to be different. But I'm also not too concerned with them taking my job, because my attitude on it is, if AI takes my job, I'll just go get a different job. That's my attitude on it. Because my number one priority is to protect and provide for my family, my wife, and my 2 kids. And so I'll do whatever it takes to do that. Hello, Steven. What's this hardware retrospection? Mason asked about it. The editor you're in? Oh, the editor I'm in, Mason, is this is called Neovim. So if you ever heard of Vim, like the whole Emacs versus Vim war, Neovim is sort of like kind of a modern take on Vim that has the ability to like extend it and add plugins and kind of be able to turn Vim into something that more approximates like a VS Code like experience. Also, Gun, thank you for being a member again, man. I'm gonna try to do my best to always point out the members and thank them. And just to be honest, Mason, I'm not like a Neovim expert. I didn't start using Neovim until January or February this year. So I'm fairly new to it, but I've enjoyed it for sure. Brand, should I learn Python for cybersecurity? It couldn't hurt. I've never done work in like the cybersecurity field, but I feel like it couldn't hurt. The company I work for is pretty heavily in the GRC space, governance, risk, and compliance, and so a lot of the people that I see working in that field currently don't seem to be super technical. And there's a little bit of overlap, I think, between cybersecurity and GRC, those fields in general. And what I see in GRC a lot is not a ton of super technical people, but I see a push to make GRC more engineering focused, and I think probably in cybersecurity it's even already there. So I feel like from a capability perspective, is it probably required to know how to do Python? Probably not. I'm completely talking out of my ass because I never had a job in that field or worked in that field, but it definitely couldn't hurt, right? So if you have the time and the energy and the interest, why not? Mason, was it hard to pick up? Neovim was a little bit like, I'd say if you're gonna pick it up, probably give yourself a month, and not a month to learn it, but a month to where, like, you need to be able to say, okay, for the next month, I'm gonna accept not being uber productive, right? Like I can accept having a little bit of fall off in my productivity, because for that month, you're gonna be configuring the editor the way you want it. Then you're gonna be starting to do work in the editor, and as you do work in the editor, you're gonna be learning Vim motions, right? Which is gonna cause you to trip over your fingers a little bit. And then you're going to go through this period of like where Neovim doesn't quite approximate what your previous editor was doing for you, so you're going to have to spend a little bit of time like working with your configuration to get it to the way you want it. So just be prepared for that, right? As long as you're okay with that and you don't get frustrated with it and you're patient with yourself, you can definitely pick it up. Gun Highs. Try Z editor. Oh, we did try that. We did try Z. And I thought it was cool. But yeah, it didn't stick for me. Granted, we tried it for like an hour one day, but I have tried it before. Hey Steven, no problem. You don't have thanks every time I arrive on stream. You're welcome. You deserve this. One from Minnie who actually does great job without AI. Old school rules. Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of a Luddite here around the AI world compared to some of these AI tech bros. Although, again, it's just, I know some of the content I make probably comes off a little bit like I'm an AI hater, but I'm not. I'm really not, because I use Copilot and I use Gemini. I use these tools. I'm trying to add a voice that's more moderate, I guess, somewhere in the middle where both things can be true, right? Where AI can be incredibly useful, but it can also not be existential. Does that make sense? I would have to do that next month. I would love to pick it up. If you're curious, Mason, the place I would send you to start with Neovim is the same guy that helped me get started, that kind of convinced me to take the plunge, because I had seen people work in Neovim, primarily the Primeagen. I had been watching him work in Neovim for probably a year and a half or 2 years on stream, and every time I saw it, I thought, damn, that looks like so much fun. But I just kept putting it off, and then finally I found this course called Neovim for Noobs. It's a course, but it's a playlist on YouTube. Let's see if I can share it. But yeah, if you're interested, this is definitely where I think you would probably benefit from starting the most. At the very least, you can kind of watch the series and get an idea for what you're getting yourself into, It's good stuff. Yeah, it didn't stick. Yep. Thank you. Of course, Mason. Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to help pass on my experience. Obviously, I'm always n equals 1, So I'm just a random guy in his basement, talking about code and shit. So take my opinion for, for what it is. It's one guy, but hopefully you'll find that helpful. All right, he's gonna have us he's gonna have us walk back what we just did earlier. So we've got this. He introduced a new function, which is fine. So we'll delete that. So we got this new kind of local function up here at the top, and then we're going to use that here to walk over the maps or the indexes of a slice or an array or the fields of a struct. So come here and we'll just replace this with I think I might be missing there we go. And now our test should pass. Okay, never mind. What did I do? Oh. Now our test should pass. Random good guy, yeah. We like random good guys. Let's see. We still are not passing. So what am I not doing right? Oh, remember that maps and Go do not guarantee order. So your test will sometimes fail because we assert that the calls to function are done in a particular order. To fix this, we'll need to move our assertion with the maps to a new test where we do not care about the order. Okay. And then we have this assert contains helper. And then we need to remove the map test from here. Okay, we're still failing. So we're failing on the slices test, is what we're failing on. Oh, that's because I removed it. So earlier when I was copying pasting stuff, this should be reflect. This is why you shouldn't copy and paste. This should be reflect.slice and then reflect.array, like that. And here we go. Now we're passing. Wonderful. Since we have extracted maps into a new test, we haven't seen the failure message. Yeah. I already saw it because I put it. I didn't do things correctly. The next type we have to handle is channel. This is the one thing about doing reflection related things is it does make you have to think about every single type, right? Kind of makes your code not super fun to implement. So here we go. We're going to go down here. We'll add a new one for channels. This is going to break. Nice. We can iterate through all values sent through a channel until it was closed with receive. What? Hold on. Okay, so we have an infinite loop, and we say if value, okay, val.receive, and then as long as, I guess, and if okay is true, then we walk the value, else we break. I wonder what the receive method does. How does it hold on to every all values sent through channel until it is closed? It's interesting. I feel a little bit like he's using examples to expose me to the reflection API, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. I kind of almost feel like I could, like, why not just read me the docs type of thing, you know? We got one extra parens. And we're passing again. What's up, Shadow? How are you? Good to see you this morning. Hello, Arrow. Good to see you're back. It's always fun to see a returning chatter. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day so far. Ronnie, which is better, Python or JavaScript? Well, I'll admit I'm a biased individual. I just prefer JavaScript. I'm not a big fan of Python. For whatever reason, that language just never quite clicked with me. I've written quite a bit of it, you know, more than Go, right? So like at this point, obviously, but it never grabbed me. So I'm more of a JavaScript person, but there's nothing wrong with Python. But I like just in general. You can accomplish everything you can accomplish with JavaScript. You can basically accomplish with Python, except when you talk about using things in the front end. Things get JavaScript is going to win there, right? If you want to build some rich client-facing applications in a browser, JavaScript beats Python every day. Although although there are some tools out there that let you write Python in the browser. I think it's called PyScript. It's like a little library you can load in on the front end to basically use Python like you would from a usefulness or usability perspective. I think they're on par with each other. All right, now we need to deal with functions. Man, this reflection lesson is long. At least we'll have a nice, helpful piece of code we can reference whenever we have need to use reflection. I'm not sure how much need we'll have when we're doing admin of code stuff, but the more you know, right? The more you know. Uh-oh. The yawning. Whoops. That's not what I was looking for. Mason, they said use reflection sparingly for Go because it's a bit slow. And they say the same thing in C# actually. It's the same thing. There's a lot of code that relies on reflection, even in like the standard lib in C#, but they highly prefer you not to write your own reflection code unless you need to. Actually, now the big thing is, I think the big piece of advice is if you are using reflection quite a bit, you should probably take a look at the source generator API in C# and try to use that to accomplish the same thing, because the source generator allows you to do the same type of reflection introspection of your code, but then you can generate code at compile time, right, to facilitate whatever functionality that you were facilitating through reflection, if possible. Which I took a course, not a course, I guess. I went to a presentation on the reflection API or the source generator API for C# at KCDC this year, which is it's like a developer conference they have here in Kansas City, and it was really good. And I thought, yeah, I should probably spend some time learning this. Add it to the list. Add it to the list. I'm guessing if I had to imagine, probably the number one case where reflection gets used a lot just about in any like ecosystem or programming language that supports it is, I would imagine it gets used a lot in like library code or framework code, right? Very high level abstracted code. Oh, I see. Let me add it to, yes, 100%. My list is just ever growing. Ever growing. Chat tells me I need to look at things. The internet tells me I need to look at things. And then my own brain is like, hey, we should do this. And then I run out of hours. I run out of hours in the day to get to it all, you know? I built my whole team SaaS front end with HTML and CSS. That's awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations, dude. I mean, yeah, HTML and CSS will take you far. It really will, especially modern CSS. Modern CSS allows you to do some really, really cool things from animation perspective. And like when I see some of the code pins people put online of stuff they built, I'm just always just so blown away one, by their skill, right, their ability, but also just what you can do with it. I'm by far not an expert, right, on the front end, but I do enjoy it. I need to spend some more time on it. Actually, it's been probably 3 months since I built any front end with it. Arrow, it's really nice. Well, man, that's awesome. I'm glad for you, dude. Introduce some concepts from the Reflect package. We used recursion to traverse arbitrary data structures, which is the one thing I'd probably, if it was my code, I'd probably refactor out of this. I'd probably refactor the conversion, and I'd probably just use a stack to walk down the tree. Which I guess you could use a stack or a queue, couldn't you, probably, to accomplish this? But yeah, I probably wouldn't use recursion. I try to avoid that. Did an in retrospect bad refactor, but didn't get too upset about it because we have tests to work through it iteratively. This only covered a small aspect of reflection. The Go blog has an excellent post covering more details. Man, there's a lot of extra reading I could go do. Now that you know about reflection, do your best to avoid using it. Here, you spent 40 minutes learning reflection. Now never touch it again. Okay, sync. We want to make a counter which is safe to use concurrently. So this is going to be very similar to Tour of Go, right? Because now we're talking about, okay, we have concurrency happening, which means we have this potential for race conditions to occur. So we need some way to synchronize things across different Go routines. We'll start with an unsafe counter, verify its behavior works in a single threaded environment. Then we'll exercise its unsafeness with multiple Go routines, trying to use the counter via a test and fix it. Write the first test. We want our API to give us a method to increment the counter and then retrieve its value. This is one of the best parts about writing tests, is it really helps you figure out what you actually need to implement, right? Because you can almost, when you're writing this test, like up here, if he says, we need to make a counter which is safe to use concurrently. Okay, where do we start, right? Like, what's the first thing we implement? Well, if we write a test, we almost get we get to do like wishful programming, right? So we can say, well, what would it look like to create one of those counters? And then what would it look like to increment the counter, right? And you can kind of almost think through the API of your code ahead of time versus the opposite, right? Another benefit of TDD. Let's see, we'll do a package test.go. BRB, shower time. Yeah, man. You don't want to be the seeky guy in the office. Mason, Go uses it like this: type person struct. Go. Well, hold on. Huh. Interesting. I mean, I don't see how that struct relates to reflection, but I may have missed something. That might be my bad. Sync. Go mod init. Under the hood for yes, and so C# does the same thing. Okay, so cool. That's cool. That's awesome to know, Mason. So C# does the exact same thing, because the minute you want to start doing AOT in C# with code that uses a lot of that JSON serialization, deserialization code, it breaks everything, because the AOT requires obviously ahead of time compilation. So that reflection, the availability of those reflection APIs aren't there for AOT apps. So the minute you want to start using that dynamic JSON type of behavior, you have to use the source generator APIs, which the .NET team's done a good job at making that possible. But that's very interesting. It's very interesting that the same problem, right? Deserializing and serializing JSON in two different languages, largely solved the same way, probably. Obviously, implementation details aside, but that's very interesting. Excuse me. Okay, we don't have a counter, so this is going to break. Counter is undefined. No, really? Yep, shows how similar things are, yeah. Yeah, people get too mired in the details sometimes, right? I mean, they just get so dogmatic about like their ecosystem and their community and how they do things where they're from, instead of looking for like commonalities and similarities in things, instead of looking for like differences you can argue about. Wait, are we still talking about coding? Are we still talking about programming languages? Wait a minute. I don't know why humans are like that. We can just be such pains in the asses. Let's see, counter undefined, counter.inc undefined, counter.value undefined, counter.value undefined. Okay, so let's add a struct. And so if I remember right, the idea is you should always have your methods have the same type of receiver type. That's the convention. So we should do a func with the receiver of type of name C, and the type of it should be, because we're going to want to mutate this thing, so we're going to want a pointer, right, to the counter, and then we want an increment, and I don't know if that returns anything, and then we're also going to want a func with the receiver type, or the receiver with the receiver name C of type counter, pointer, counter, and then a pointer to a counter, and then a value like this. So this is basically what we're building here. Is we're building a setter and a getter, right? But we're gonna hide the state of this counter, right? It's probably some field we're gonna put here, just like we did in Tour of Go, right? So this will control access to incrementing or changing, increasing the counter, and then this was basically writing to it, setting it, and this will control access to reading or getting it, the value, the current value. So if we go back here, this should actually work now, but it should fail. Oh, I guess value is supposed to be a field. I think I missed that part of the test. No, it should be. Oh, but it doesn't return anything. So let's just do, let's have it return an int, and then let's just return 0. Look at that. Now it should properly fail. Got 3 wanted, or got 0 wanted 3. I'm back. What's up, Raphael? How was your meeting, man? Neovim is hard to use at the start. You need to get used to all the things, and that takes time. Taking a month to get used to it is very important. Yeah, I think a month is a good, decent time. I'm sure for some people it's slower, slower or faster, depending on maybe how quickly you pick things up or whatever. But I feel like I think the key to me is like you have to set that expectation in your head that for the next month I'm trying to learn a new tool. I'm not trying to be the Giga Chad programmer maybe that I was, because I feel like that's the important piece. Because if you're just frustrated that you're slower and you're not as effective because you switch to a tool you don't know, the likelihood you're gonna stick with it's low, right? You're just gonna be like, fuck it, I'm going back to VS Code, screw this stupid thing, screw these Vim motions, right? So I think that's why I think it's just important to kind of frame your mindset going into things. Sam, for the getter, the convention isn't to pass as star counter. It operates on a copy, which is fine and slightly more efficient since it's just reading the value. Oh, okay. But didn't it, I thought in some of the Tour of Go things it said to try to keep all your receiver arguments consistent. But I guess for reading from things, this is okay to not have to have receivers that are of different. Well, I guess I can just look and see what he did, right? And that would probably be a good. See, he kept his the same. And I'm pretty sure the Tour of Go said that, and he says that earlier. Is like when you're defining methods, you want to keep these receiver argument types. I guess for the caller of your code, you want them to be able to kind of know up front, am I getting a pointer? Right? Am I getting something that's mutable, or am I getting something that's not mutable? But I'm happy to follow Sam's advice because I would like to follow the convention. OOP YouTube put me back in time, so I was talking about Neovim still when you had moved on for a while. No worries, dude. No worries at all, man. We love talking about Neovim. There's nothing wrong ever with talking about Neovim. You know, I use Neovim, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that. I don't feel like people who use Neovim are that annoying, though. They're not. People who use Neovim aren't as annoying as. They're not as annoying as people who use Linux, right? I mean, I know there's people in chat that use Linux. I'm not trying to take shots at anybody, but. All right, type counter struct has a value of int, yep, or field a value of type int, and we're gonna increment it here, and then we're going to return it here. So pretty straightforward. This is almost nearly the identical example to what the Tour of Go did, isn't it? This is exactly what we did in Tour of Go. I use Manjaro, but for work I stay on Windows. What's Manjaro? I've never heard of this. Is that an operating system? Manjaro? Oh, nice. It's based on Arch. It's an Arch. Okay, cool. Very cool. Good to know. Yeah, I'm a Windows user as well. Both for work. I use it for work, but I also use it for personal. Maybe one day though. Maybe one day a Linux daily driver is in the future. So we need to add a field here. And we want this to be private, which is why it's lowercase, right? This is going to be of type int. And then we're going to do value plus plus like that. But we need to do c.value plus plus. And then here we'll return c.value. And I think that should make our test pass now, right? Famous last words. Yes, it did. It did pass. It did indeed pass. You shall not pass. That actually should be the message they print when you fail your test. Instead of failure, it should be you shall not pass. You could try Omarchi. It seems quite nice. I want to use it sometime myself. If you have an empty SSD, you could do dual boot and give it a try before committing. I think I do want to commit though. And I do think I will use Omarchi. I'm pretty convinced. Like, I've watched a bunch of people set up videos with it, and I'm like, this looks cool. Like, it looks well thought out, and which is right up my alley because I don't want to spend a bunch of time like trying to configure something to that niceness all by myself, you know. So I particularly the theme switching that they added to it looks really cool. So at some point I am going to commit. It's just about having a device to put it on. And at this point I don't have a spare device I want to stick it on. Yeah, that's what my plan is too, Mason, is to put it on a new PC. Is to just go full send, full commit. You know, I I want to either get either a framework laptop because those look really cool, or I'll get like some sort of like Lenovo ThinkPad or something and throw it on there. While the struct is small, it's better to use C count. However, as it gets larger, C star count is better. Okay, so size matters. I see. Ignore me. Stick with star count. No, man. You throw all the advice. You're like 2-3 months further down this Go journey than I am. So please, never hesitate. Pointers cost 8 bytes to pass around. So the smaller something is, the more probably it makes sense to not pass a pointer or not use a receiver argument that is a pointer type, is what I'm taking away from this conversation. I really wanted to get a framework laptop too, but I don't half-ass it, so I would want the best one, which is really expensive. Yes. That's exactly that. So I went on their website and I like spec'd it out, and all of a sudden at the end of the day I was like, oh shit, this is like a $3,000 computer. Yeah. I don't want to buy computers anymore that are 8 gigs of RAM, right? Or 16 gigs of RAM and 256 S. I don't want to do that anymore. Like if I'm going to get a computer, I want it to be a beefy machine, you know? Mason, size always matters. Yeah. Wait, are we still talking about programming? The trick is to buy the SSD and the RAM yourself. It's way cheaper than on their site. I didn't think about that. That's actually a super good point. Because it's user upgradable, user repairable, so why not? Morning Artwork Studios, how you doing? Good to see you. We're trying to learn some Go. Let's see, we're gonna write more tests. Reads a bit. Okay, we're gonna create a little helper. That's fine. So we'll go over here to the thing. We'll add our helper. We'll say assert counter. We'll pass in our t. We'll pass in our counter. We'll pass in our want, which I think in this case was 3. Go test to make sure we didn't break anything. That should still pass, which it does. Okay, so this is where we're going to introduce mutex, right? Or we're basically gonna introduce concurrency, and we're gonna show that, hey, this thing busts when things get concurrent. Let's just copy the whole thing. What is a WaitGroup? What's the sync.WaitGroup? I haven't seen that before. This is going to tell me that I can range over the wanted count. Huh. I've never seen this before. This is the first time I'm looking at this API, this sync.WaitGroup API. I hope he talks about it. I'm sure he will. Came back just from school, only issue. Oh man, I'm really sorry, dude. Yep. See, 968, 993, and we want exactly 1,000. So we have problems. Houston, we have a problem. I'm really sorry you're not feeling good, Artwork Studios. Make sure you get some rest, man. Especially stomach stuff. Stomach stuff's the worst. So I'm really sorry, dude. A sync group allows you to wait for a list of Go routines. So basically each Go routine says when it is done, and then the wait method waits until all of them are finished. Oh, so it's kind of like promise.all or promise.all settled, that kind of thing. One bad thing about yeah, man, just take care of yourself, dude. Your health is the most important thing. When you don't have your health, you do not have anything. You know what I mean? Like nothing in the world matters except your health, really. Because once it goes, all you care about is getting it back. So make sure you take care of yourself. Yeah, if I remember correct. Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. So we're basically it's or in C# this would be like kind of like task.winAll. They just added that I think in .NET 9. So WaitGroup, where we basically say, okay, we're going to create a group of Go routines. Or we're not creating. Yeah, we're creating a number of Go routines. So we should have 100. We should have 100 items in our group. And then we're going to fire off 100 Go routines. And each routine is going to call WG done. So we would expect 1,000. So basically, the wait group's going to wait until this method probably is called 1,000 times, right? That's essentially probably what's happening. But it's not. It's obviously not working because my counter is not thread safe. And we are going to fix that. Okay, so this loop will go through. Okay, we are using sync.waitGroup, which is a convenient way of synchronizing concurrent processes. A wait group waits for a collection of Go routines to finish. The main Go routine calls add to set the number of Go routines to wait for. Then each of the Go routines runs and calls done when finished. At the same time, wait can be used to block until all Go routines have finished. That's pretty handy. The test will probably fail, which it does. Virtue3, thanks for subbing. I appreciate you. Future.wait for Dart, promise.all for JSTS, task.waitAll for C#. Yeah, this is cool. This is the more I learn about the concurrency model in Go, the more I'm trying to, I think there's good things about trying to find analogies between a new language and a language you're familiar with, right? You can't obviously let that stop you from learning something, but I think when you can find analogies like that, it helps build your mental model a little easier for the new thing, right? A simple solution is to add a lock to our counter, ensuring only one Go routine can increment the counter at a time. Go's mutex provides such a lock. A mutex is a mutual exclusive lock. The 0 value for a mutex is an unlocked mutex. So we'll basically say, hey, lock it. Then we will defer unlocking until we leave the scope here. And then we'll do we'll increment the value, and then obviously we'll call unlock. What this means is any Go routine calling increment will acquire the lock on counter if they are first. All other Go routines will have to wait for it to be unlocked before getting access. So we'll do we want a lock of type sync dot mutex is what we want. And then we want to say value passes lock by value. And we shouldn't do that, I'm assuming. So this should be a pointer now. And then we want to do lock or c.lock. And I know he uses the defer keyword here, so he says c.lock.unlock. But if I'm completely honest with you guys, I just don't understand why this is the convention. I don't understand why you wouldn't just do this. Like, there's functionally no difference here, right? I mean, these two statements are doing the same thing in the same place. To me, this reads more correct. But maybe, I'm still trying to be a Go developer, I think it's because the code might throw otherwise, so it's kind of like a now I understand. Now I understand. So what you're saying is, if something panics earlier, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because yeah, in C sharp, if you really wanted to make sure you let go of a lock, you do try, you do try, and then you do finally. Especially if you're using something like a, like a semaphore, right? You would do the unlock here. That makes sense. Yeah, dude, that was super helpful. I've been trying to think of like, why would you do that? Because that seems so not readable. And my dumbass, the new person learning Go is like, I know better than all the Go community. The defer key is useless. The defer keyword is useless. That makes so much sense. It's a good thing chat's here. They saved me from myself. Although I think I've broken something. I guess it just took a minute for it to work, I guess. There we go. I've seen other examples where sync.mutex is embedded into the struct. You may see examples like this. It can be argued that it can make the code a bit more elegant. Hold on, did I do something wrong? Oh, no. Yeah, I did it what he's saying is basically, then you can call the lock method on the actual counter struct and not on a field. This looks nice, but while programming is a hugely subjective discipline, this is bad and wrong. Okay, so this is not, I'm guessing he's saying this is not subjective. Sometimes people forget that embedding types means the methods of that type become part of the public interface, and you often will not want that. Remember that we should be very careful with our oh, so he's saying if you embed the sync mutex on your counter now has all the methods that came from this embedded type. I didn't even know this was something you could do. This is the first time I'm hearing of this. So yes, don't do that, because we don't want to expose all those methods on the counter. The moment we make something public is the moment other code can couple themselves to it. We always want to avoid unnecessary coupling. Exposing lock and unlock is at best confusing, but at worst potentially very harmful to your software if callers of your type start calling these methods. Yeah, 100%. Everyone's locking and unlocking on our counter. We don't know about it. This seems like a really bad idea. I would agree. This seems like a really bad idea. Our test passes, but our code is still a bit dangerous. If you run go vet on your code, you should get an error like the following. Okay, hold on. Let me run it. Go vet. All these commands that Go has are pretty interesting. Let's see. Call of assert counter copies lock value. Example.com sync.counter contains sync.mutex. Okay, so you're making a copy of that mutex when we pass it to that helper. A look at the documentation tells us why. A mutex must not be copied after first use. When we pass our counter, so I wonder why that error doesn't show up in my Neovim config. That's something I need to that's something that I need to remember to go back and check on. So go or Neovim go to dos. We need to remember, or hold on, get error check to report violations within Neovim. Get go vet to report violations within Neovim. I mean, there's got to be a way to get that information, because I feel like that's something you'd want to know ahead of time. I don't want to have to remember to run go vet to do that. To solve this, we should pass in a pointer to our counter instead. So change the signature of assert counter so that we're passing a pointer to counter. Our test will no longer compile because we are trying to pass in a counter rather than a pointer to a counter. To solve this, I prefer to create a constructor which shows readers of your new API that it would be better to not initialize the type yourself. Use this function in your tests when initializing counter. Okay, so what he's saying is we're going to come over to our test package, first thing we're going to do. And oh, see, now that warning is showing up. So maybe it was always there and I just didn't know it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to do, yes, God should be a star. Sounds fun, yeah, but I don't have any cash for a NAS. Yeah, NASs are expensive, man. Ridiculously expensive. Storage is ridiculously expensive. Nah, Steven, you're just a curious person who can think, why do we do this? Yeah, that's an important question to ask. You got to ask it in such a way that doesn't put other people off. You know what I mean? So he wants us to create this. Which then, wouldn't we want to probably then make this lowercase so it's private? Will that work? No, it won't work, won't it? I'm just thinking, how do you avoid people not newing up a new... If it's not safe to do that, how do you avoid that, right? So now we'll say new counter. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I need to, I'd like to figure out a way. Have you tried Whales, sir? Hey, what's up, Mike? I have not tried Whales. I don't even know what that refers to. Is it something related to Go? Beautiful cross-platform applications using Go. Interesting. No, I haven't built anything with Go yet, Mike. We've only been learning the language so that we can do advent of code. So I haven't really built any applications or projects with it. We're trying to get through Learn Go with tests right now, and once we finish that up, we're going to do some practice problems for advent of code, and then we'll probably work on some projects like the last couple weeks of November. This, though, is the ultimate goal. It's just to make sure that we can do advent of code this year and have some fun doing it. But I'll keep this in the back of my mind. Whales. If I want to build cross-platform applications, check out Whales. Looks pretty, you know? I'd love to build some native applications. I've not done any native development for Windows, Mac, Linux, none of them. So I'd love to try it out. What concepts are important to know for advent of code? The most important stuff is just like your basic like algorithm and DSA knowledge, right? So being familiar with like queues, stacks, linked lists, being familiar with like walking a grid, right? So given a length by width grid, can you walk that grid, right? Space by space. Being able to do like a depth first search, a depth first search and a breadth first search, that always comes up. They usually have something in there about the A-star algorithm, so some sort of like path traversal type of situation. But I don't think you need to know those things going into advent of code. I think that's one of the benefits of doing advent of code is it introduces those things to you. If you don't come from that kind of a background or you don't grind leak code, you get the opportunity to explore those concepts and learn those concepts, because there are problems that advent of code gives you every year that you can't complete the puzzle and advance the story without figuring out how to implement that algorithm, because there's no way to brute force the solution, or there is you can brute force the solution, but it would take you so long to do it. It's effectively not a solution, right? And they often do that, like they'll give you like a problem that seems very straightforward to solve as the first part, and you'll solve it in the brute force way. Then they like increase the scale by orders of magnitude, and then your solution completely blows up on you, which is, again, that's part of the fun, right? It's working through that. What language should I use for advent of code? I would just use whatever you're most comfortable with to start. If it's the first time you've done it, use something you're comfortable in, or go buck wild and try a new language. Use it as an excuse to learn something new. The key is not to or at least for me, I'm not trying to compete, and be like the best solver of AOC. It's just, again, it's a fun excuse to write some code, to solve some problems with the code. Yeah, but I'm comfortable with JavaScript, C#, Python, Lua. Pick, man. Flip a coin. Write the language's names on like a paper dice and throw it around, or put it in like a random selector generator thing. Use a different one each day. Yeah, use the spinny wheel thing. Yeah. Nat says use TS. Yeah, or use TypeScript. Yeah, TypeScript's great. I haven't done it in TypeScript. There's a fellow I follow on YouTube who does it every year, who uses TypeScript, and that's been pretty fun. He has like a whole collection of like utility functions that he's built over the years that look really cool. I just realized it's 5:34, so I'm gonna go before we. Well, I think we're at the end of this lesson, aren't we? The only thing I want to explore more about this lesson is I like this idea of defining a function to new up a counter, but I'd like to then hide, and I don't know if this is possible in Go, but I'm guessing there's some way in Go that I could then hide the creation of the struct and force everybody to go through this new counter method, maybe? I don't know if that's possible, but that would be ideal. All right, I'm gonna go refill my coffee cup, and then we're gonna move on to the next lesson. Bullet plane up. Man, these streams are just going by faster and faster. I tell you what, I used to think a 2.5 hour stream was plenty of time, and now it's like it's not enough time. Whoops. BRB. And then we'll increase the size of this guy until it's like about centered. That's about centered. And we'll shift this ping up. Here. There we go. Can I say that watching your streams is a extracurricular? I wish. I wish. Yeah, I always wish I could put people's streams down that I watch as continuing education, Artwork says you made that, Steven? Yeah, this is my my fancy Be Right back sign. I just built it in a PowerShell let's see, cat profile. Yeah. See, I just put it in a PowerShell function. So I literally just call BRB, which is just a function. All it does is it prints text to the screen. The hardest part about this, I spent way too long on the Steam, trying to figure out like where's the right place to put the Steam so it looks like it's centered but is animated. But it was a fun little like hour long thing to hack together. 30 minutes or whatever it was. Again, this took the Steam was the thing I played around with the longest. Yeah, the Steam, you like that? Yeah. All right, I'll be right back. If when I come back, don't let me forget that I'm muted, because sometimes that happens. Oh, the Linux arc starts whenever there's a new computer. That the next new computer is when the Linux arc starts. I'm here. Well, I hope you guys do admin of Code 2 Artwork Studios. I think it'd be a blast to have a group of us doing it. I'm gonna have a leaderboard too, so if you guys want to participate like together in a group, we can be on the same leaderboard together, kind of track each other's progress. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think, okay. When to use locks over channels in Go routines. We've previously covered Go routines in the first concurrency chapter, which lets us write safe concurrent code. So why would you use locks? A common Go newbie mistake is to use channels in Go routines just because it's possible and or because it's fun. Don't be afraid to use a sync.mutex if that fits your problem best. Go is pragmatic in letting you use the tools that solve your problem best, not forcing you into one style of code. Paraphrasing. Use channels when passing ownership of data. Use mutexes for managing state. Which, in my opinion, this one, so this one right here, this would be if you're following a functional approach. It seems like channels would be more your thing. If you're following more of a OOP approach, mutexes are going to be very helpful, right? Because you actually have an object and you're passing around a pointer to this object and you're mutating its state, which doesn't, this doesn't seem, mutation of state doesn't seem very functional, you know? Like, I don't know if like a functional programmer would ever build a counter like this, you know? Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like it falls into that functional paradigm. Remember to use GoVet in your build scripts, as it can alert you to some subtle bugs in your code before they hit your poor users. Yeah, but see, this is where I don't even, why does it just exist in your build script? Like, why wouldn't you put this in your, like, why wouldn't you want that in your editor? Don't use embedding because it's convenient. Yep. All right, context. Context. What's up, Arrow? Good to see you're back, man. Good to see you again. Did you take a little detour down another shorts rabbit hole or something? Find your way back to us? All right, let's make a new package. Make dir package. cd into package. Do go mod init example.com. Whoops. It's not what I wanted to do. Remove package. Make dir context. cd into context. Oops. cd into context. And then we'll do go mod init example.com context. 0, thanks for subbing. We appreciate having you. Welcome to the channel. Package test.go. You should make stream elements messages happen less frequently. Really? Huh. I think they seem fine. You're the first person who said that, so I will add it to a tally, and if more people want to vote for that not being a thing. I mean, the fact that I only get like, I mean, less than 10 stream elements alerts in a 2.5 hour stream. So what is that? That's like 60 times 2.5 is 150, 110 divide by 150. Now let's do 150 divided by 10. So that's one message, one alert per 15 minutes of the stream. Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, if it became more frequent than that, yeah, I could definitely see that, but I don't think it's too frequent at the moment. But I appreciate the feedback, Arrow. Raphael, there are about 25 alerts to the stream. You think? We don't really have to. I can just look at the dashboard. Have I just missed a lot of them? I feel like have I just not been paying attention? Raphael, I counted. Well, Arrow, how did you even set it up? Streamelements.com. Yeah, there's a really great here, Arrow. HTTPS streamelements.com. They have a bunch of crazy creator tools that are all free. Let's see, dashboard. Activity feed. Huh, I only see 2 this stream. I saw one from Nick Gordon 2 hours ago, Virtue, and then 0. But I've only been streaming for an hour and 30 minutes or something like that. I mean, I don't have a mutex, so I don't know if you try. I see what you did there, Raphael. Well, if more people feel that way, just let me know, okay? So Arrow definitely, he's obviously shared his vote, like he thinks I should reduce the frequency. So if you guys feel that same way, just let me know, and I will definitely consider reducing the stream elements alerts. I feel like engagement to like not necessarily to reward, right? It's something to call out. Like I really appreciate people who sub, people who chat, people who send super chats, right? That's why I added the text to speech functionality. I don't want that stuff to go unnoticed. You know what I mean? Raphael, I sent a screenshot with 3 in them. Really? Huh. I wonder if I'm not getting them all or what. Oh, you guys are talking about the timers. I'm sorry. Yes, the timer, the stuff in the chat. I can slow those down. That's not a problem. I thought you guys were talking about like the sub alerts on the screen. I can most definitely slow those down. So let's do we can set Discord to every it's set right now at every 5 minutes, so I'll just double it. And then we can do GitHub every 15 or something like that. That's no problem at all, guys. No problem at all. Yeah, I kept the sub alerts and I reduced the stream elements messages. So those timers should be far less. And if they need to be less, just let me know. I was just trying to put like the reason the timers are there to begin with, honestly, is I was just trying to put like commonly things people ask for in the chat so that people would like see them instead of like asking like, where's your Discord link? How do I find this on GitHub? All right, context. Software often kicks off long-running research. I think this is going to answer the question I had like 2 days ago about how do you handle long-running Go routines that get orphaned by a select statement. I think this topic is going to answer that. What do you think about if anyone builds it, everyone dies? What? That sounds like that sounds like what people thought about the nuclear bomb. Yo, Wilo Gamer Pro. What's that image in the top right corner? Which one? Yeah, I think I missed what you were asking about Wilo Gamer, but if it comes back, let me know and I'll be happy to explain. I'm a pretty open book, so there's very few things I'm not gonna share with you guys about my setup. It's pretty straightforward. There's no magic sauce to anything I have usually going on behind the scenes. On the stream? Huh. I don't see it myself, Wilo Gamer Pro. Maybe send a screenshot of what you're seeing in Discord. Just like sometimes I'm dense, so sometimes you have to like really explicitly point things out. So just send a screenshot in Discord and I'll take a look. The guy with the Go mascot? Oh, this dude? Or this guy? It's a gopher is what it is. I mean, it's kind of like the Go mascot, right? It's the gopher. Yeah, I'm confused, but I'm happy to sort it out. Arrow, accept my. Oh, for sure. I'll hit you up on the Discords. You are approved, Arrow. Your Discord invite has been accepted. Their tagline should be "Go for it." The book. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. I'll have to check it out. I've never heard of that book before. I'll have to add it to the list of 1,000,001 things I need to read or look at. This ever-growing list. Does anybody know when they're going to add more hours to the day? Is that going to happen soon? If the action that caused this gets canceled or fails for some reason, you need to stop these processes in a consistent way through your application. If you don't manage this, your Snappy Go application that you're so proud of could start having difficult to debug performance problems. We'll use the package context to help us manage long-running processes. We're going to start with a classic example of a web server that when it kicks off a potentially long-running process to fetch some data for it to return in the process. We will exercise a scenario where a user cancels the request before the data can be retrieved, and we'll make sure the process is told to give up. This is actually super relevant to today's world where people are building all these LLM-powered applications, and a lot of times you're talking to these LLMs over an HTTP request, right, to an API. And these are long-running, in the context of an HTTP request, these are kind of long-running requests, right? We're talking seconds, not milliseconds. And you need the ability to be able to have your users cancel requests that they don't want to wait on. So this is actually a pretty relevant topic, right? If you're going to build that type of application. I've set up some code on the happy path to get us started. Here's our server code. All right, let's go ahead and get this moving here. Package.go. Here's our server. Just stick that in here. We need to put a package main. We're also going to need a type of struct. Type store struct. I have no idea what's inside here yet. Store.fetch, so we'll need some sort of func that has a receiver named S with the type of probably pointer to store. And then this is going to fetch something, and I don't know what it's going to return. What does this expect it to return? Okay, so let's just return a number. Return 0. Hey, what's up, Boris? Good to see you, man. Good morning. I actually don't know the concept of A-star algorithm. Like, I know it's used in Google Maps, but I don't know what it's like, you know? Yeah, the thing is with those algorithms is somebody far smarter than us figured them out. So what you need to do is you just need to learn how to implement that algorithm in whatever programming language of choice, right? So don't try to like rediscover an algorithm, right? That's the same thing like breadth first search, depth first search. These are just procedural ways of processing data, and somebody way smarter than us back in the day figured it out, right? So we just need to, what we need to know is how to implement it. And so that's what I would think. If you encounter an algorithm that you're like, wait, I've never done that before, just wiki it, right? Wiki it, and then go talk to an LLM and say, hey, how would you implement this algorithm in X language, right? And it'll get you probably a 95, not 100% of the way there, because it's been implemented in every language 1,000 times before. And then just go play with it in your own code, right? Try to implement it by hand, by reference. You can look at it and write it yourself. But that's real. The key with those algorithmic and data structure like problems is not necessarily having it memorized as so much as it is recognizing the pattern. Like, I have this problem, which I could solve because it fits this sort of pattern of problems, which are often solved by this type of data structure and this type of algorithm, right? That's where that knowledge is helpful, right? Like, I know, like, there's a lot of people who like to flex on others because they're LeetCode savants, which is great for them. But in my opinion, it's less about memorizing, and it's more about awareness and pattern recognition and understanding where something can be applied and where it shouldn't be applied. So don't beat yourself up for not knowing about a particular algorithm, because I didn't know about any of this stuff. Like, the first time I was introduced to the A-star, the path traversal thing, was Advent of Code last year. And then both breadth first search and depth first search was the first time I did Advent of Code. It was the first time I really knew what I was supposed to do, right? So, like, that's the fun part of having the excuse to write code and solve problems, is then you learn, right? It's all about the reps. All 30 people currently in the stream like the stream. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Super kind. Arrow, what OS are you using? Yep, what Raphael said. He's using Windows. Yep, I'm using Windows 10. That's my preferred, which I guess you guys can't really tell that because I've cropped my screen. But yeah, I mean, in the old days when my screen crop was a little larger, you could see like the taskbar down below. But yeah, I'm just using Windows 10. Or sorry, not Windows 10, Windows 11. Yeah. All right, so we need an interface. So this is actually going to be an interface. Which means I guess we can't have a pointer to it. Is that what? Invalid receiver type pointer or interface type. Okay. Hold on, why? Why is it complaining? What have I done wrong? Oh, that's because that's where I'm defining it. Whoopsies. That's where I'm defining the method. That's my fault. I just switched from my preferred font from Consolas to Cascadia Code and have been having way too much fun messing around with the ligatures. Yes, Cascadia Code font is very nice. And it took a while. The ligatures were something that kind of took a little bit to grow on me, honestly. At first I didn't like them, and I thought it was confusing and kind of obfuscated like what you had actually typed. But now I enjoy it. Arrow, I'm asking too many questions, but how is your PowerShell like that? You're not asking too many questions. So, so if you're familiar with like OMyZSH, right? If you come from like a Linux or Mac background, there's this project by a gentleman named Robbie Russell called OMyZSH. It's very, very, I use this on a lot of my Linux boxes, and it's really, really nice to work with. I use it on my one MacBook Pro that I have just permanently plugged in over there. But there's a project like this for PowerShell called OMyPosh, And this is made by a gentleman named, I think Jan is how you name it, Jan Dobler, something like that. I'm apologize if I'm butchering his name, but that's how I make my prompt look pretty. Here is with oh my posh. And then what else? I have some of my some of the the PS read line stuff here is just my PowerShell profile, some things that I've added to my PowerShell profile. So if you type exclamation point oh my posh in the chat, I think it will give you my yeah, there you go. That tiny URL right there is my oh my posh configuration, and then PWSH will take you to my PowerShell profile, which they should be fairly up to date. There may be a couple differences between what I'm using locally and what's out there on GitHub, but for the most part, like 90% of it will be accurate. Mohit, good morning. How are you doing? I think I missed somebody's messages. Everyone always asks about Oh My Posh. Yeah, which is awesome because it shows that not a lot of people get to work with PowerShell and know that you can actually make PowerShell a decently nice shell to work in, right? So that's cool that other people get to learn about that. Hello, Steven. How are you? I'm doing well, man. Yeah, life's good. I got a cup of coffee right here. I'm trying to write some Go and learn about the context package currently. Can't really complain. Steven, can I ask you about how should I make my coding good? Because the only way I solve problems is by brute force. I want to try to not use brute force. How do I start doing that? Well, I think first it's like when you recognize that you're solving something in a brute force way, that probably means that problem has been solved in an elegant way, and that's when I usually try to just stand on the shoulders of giants. So I turn to either my favorite AI assistant or Google or Stack Overflow, and I try to look for someone else's more elegant solution to that same problem. I think a lot of the times the difficulty is describing the problem in an abstract enough way that you can pattern match it, right? That's kind of what I was talking to Artwork Studios about, is like, to me, that's the value of learning DSA, is it's not so much memorizing those things as so much as having awareness that some really smart people came up with some really smart algorithms and really smart data structures to handle challenging situations, and those are available to you for you to use, right? And you don't necessarily need to reinvent something. You can just go learn how to implement that algorithm in the code that you're writing. So I think the first step is, one, obviously recognizing that this is a brute force approach, and if n became really, really big, this would not work anymore. In which case, then I go and I turn to the internet and I try to find something that will solve my ignorance, right? Which I don't really have a better advice other than turning to Google, spending a lot of time solving problems, and then it's also I think that's a great reason why Advent of Code is so much fun, is because you're solving the same problem as a bunch of other people in a bunch of different languages. So if you get stuck, there's likely other people's solutions out there that you can go and look at, right? And I'm not cheating, but I'm doing Advent of Code to learn. So if I'm stuck and I can't figure something out, let's go look at somebody else's code and try to understand what they did and how they solved it, right? And that's how you learn, man. That's it's reps, and then getting feedback on those reps, and then trying to improve that on your next rep. That's learning. Hey Pablo, good to see you, dude. Thanks for stopping in. I know it's super early, so I always appreciate when you show up, man. Does it work for Mac? PowerShell works for Mac. Yeah, you don't want not Windows PowerShell, but PowerShell. So I think it's PowerShell 7 and on. It's confusing. Just like with all Microsoft stuff, it's confusing. There's Windows PowerShell, and then there's PowerShell, and PowerShell is cross-platform. You can use it on Linux, Mac, or Windows. So yeah, you can definitely make it work. Can you get it on Mac M2 terminal? I think it. I honestly, I shouldn't speak much on the M series of chips because I've never worked with the M series of chips. So I don't know all the compatibility hurdles that you have to jump through. But I don't see why you couldn't give it a try. But yeah, it's PowerShell. I usually search for PowerShell 7. Uh, so this is the one you want, not Windows PowerShell, right? So this is the cross-platform version. It works on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. This is about the time I should be working already. But you have already been at this for more than an hour, right? Yeah, I usually start about 4:15, so we've been going for about an hour and 45-ish or so. Dang, now I'm super confused. What do you mean you're super? I didn't mean to confuse you. I apologize if I confused you. Arrow PowerShell on Mac. You'd get a lot of comments. I mean, I get comments for Neovim on Windows. So if you put PowerShell on Mac, I'm guessing you're gonna get some comments. But you know what? Fuck them, man. Like, come on. Like, use the shit you want to use. Like, who gives a shit? Uncle Bob's not gonna come in and look over your shoulder while you're writing code. So you might as well have some fun doing it with the stuff you want to do it. The stuff you want to do it with. You know what? I'll do PowerShell on Mac using Neovim. Go for it, dude. I mean, the thing is, right? It's like you can have multiple shells. So like, set up PowerShell, use ZSH, switch around, change, right? Do it based on the vibes. If you're feeling very enterprisey and want to wear a tie, open PowerShell. And if you're feeling hipstery, open Bash. PowerShell on Mac is a wild move. It's like a power move. It's just like it's total anti-establishment. It's chaos. It's like the anarchist approach. Have you ever tried XAMPP for database? Is it good to learn advanced database? I've never tried XAMPP. I don't even know what that means. I think it's probably helpful to learn a database fairly well. I think I'll be honest, the vast majority of time I interact with a database is over a ORM. And if I have to interact directly with a SQL database or a MongoDB, I almost alwa# have to look up the query language just because I'm not writing it often enough to really have it in my fingertips the same way I do like, C# or JavaScript or TypeScript or whatnot. But I think it probably helps to understand. The more you understand any technology, right, the better you can use it. I was going to look up XAMPP. What is this? It's the most popular PHP development environment. Well, that doesn't sound like it has anything to do with database. Oh, this is a stack, I guess. Is that what this is? This is like a tech stack. I'm so confused. It's a web server solution stack package developed by Apache. Huh. Interesting. Bundled Apache, MariaDB, PHP, and Perl components. So kind of like a one-stop shop type of thing. That's kind of cool. I've never heard of it, so I don't know if it's worth learning. I don't know what the job market or like, but if you're interested in it, like if you want to, go for it. You know what I mean? Is PowerShell POSIX compliant? I don't think so. I doubt it. I would doubt most things that happen in the Windows. Something that originated from the Windows world is POSIX compliant. And Boris, I said make it code cleaner. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I just feel like so many people write code as if Uncle Bob's obviously a very smart individual. I just feel like so many people write code as if he's standing right over their shoulder. They just get so worked up about things, and it's like, guys, I promise, Uncle Bob doesn't give a shit about your code. Why aren't you using Chrome, and what are you using? So the origin of my browser story goes back to like 3 years ago. I've historically always used Chrome. Probably 4 years ago, me and my boss at work were talking about cross-browser testing, and we were kind of having a conversation about the fact that we weren't doing a super great job about doing systematic cross-browser testing. And so in an effort to try to get some cross-browser testing, we kind of agreed that like, okay, well, you do all the testing in Chrome, and I'll do all the testing in Edge or something else, with Firefox or whatever, and that way, when we're testing, we're at least getting some amount of coverage. That led me to Firefox, and then Firefox led me to Edge because Edge has built-in support for vertical tabs. Then, like 3 or 4 months ago, someone was like, hey, if you like vertical tabs in Edge, you should check out the Zen browser. And that's why. So what I'm using now is called the Zen browser, which, as I understand it, is like a Firefox fork. And so that's what I'm currently out on right now is Zen. Pablo, it's actually a .NET descendant. Well, there you go. Yeah, the guy that created PowerShell, I think his name's Jeffrey Snover. Jeffrey PowerShell creator. I'm pretty sure he got awarded a technical fellow job at Microsoft for it. Yeah, Jeffrey Snover. Yeah, I don't think he works there anymore. I think he actually works at Google now. But he was a technical fellow at Microsoft for a while. Yeah, he left in 2022, or maybe yeah, technical fellow, which is kind of like the highest. That's like the highest individual level. There's only like a hand. There's like 20 or something people in the world at any given time who are a technical fellow at Microsoft, I guess. So it's a pretty high distinguished honor, I guess, to get that role. But I think now he's at Google. Did anyone test for Internet Explorer yet? You wouldn't believe how many people there for a little while, even in 2022 or 2021, people were still using IE and complaining about IE problems, which is pretty wild. Oh, really? PowerShell is POSIX compliant? Interesting. They had to make it POSIX compliant to get a contract from the government. Huh. Although I don't know. So what's the benefit? Let's see. POSIX is not compliant in its design and implementation. While it has incorporated some features, it fundamentally remains a distinct shell and scripting language. Well, according to Gemini, it's not. Which I don't know if that means anything, but I guess my question is, why does it matter? Maybe someone can educate me. Why PowerShell being POSIX compliant or not being POSIX compliant matter? Or what do you gain if it is or isn't? Cyberlenka, do you have a stream with normal resolution like 1080p? So this stream is 1920 by 1080, so it's vertical, and I'm guessing you're asking for horizontal, which currently I don't have a horizontal stream. Maybe one day. YouTube says they're going to support dual format streaming at some point, but I have yet to be given access to that feature. But if they ever do, I'll definitely explore having both vertical and horizontal. I really like the way TikToks has implemented it for their creators. Is you scroll and the live stream is shown in a vertical, but then if you want to go full screen, you just turn your phone and it. So I like the way they implemented that dual format functionality over there. So maybe YouTube will follow suit at some point. I use Edge because the tools are conveniently integrated with VS Code and vertical tabs, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, for sure, use the browser you want, for sure, 100%. If you Google PowerShell POSIX, there's a whole debate of people complaining. Mark Rusunovich is a fellow as well. He made sysinternals and now is head of Azure development. Yes, I really like Mark Rusunovich. I really like his take on AI. I think he has really, really smart, measured, well thought out takes on AI. And him and two of my favorite people from that whole kind of developer division at Microsoft. I know Mark is more on the Azure side, but there's a podcast with Scott Hanselman and Mark Rusunovich that they make every so often, and the name of the podcast is Scott and Mark Learn Too. But it's pretty great. If you like listening to like two friends give each other shit, and like just kind of talk, you would probably enjoy this podcast. There, I'll share the link. Good stuff. Good stuff. It would allow you to run commands and integrate apps the same way across all operating systems. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So tools like grep, ls, yep. And the way, like even in my PowerShell, it looks like I'm doing that, but I'm not, right? Like ls is an alias, right? It's an alias to, I think, get children or something like that. Get child item. Yeah, I think it's ls is an alias for that. Make dir is an alias. There's several in there. rm is an alias, right? So if you want to still have those commands, you can obviously alias to them to their PowerShell equivalents. But they're not necessarily the exact same. Because it is standard on most Unix and other OSs, so you don't need to learn a new way per OS. That's completely fair. Completely fair. Interoperability and portability. Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair. Although, I kind of am like, okay, well, if you want to use POSIX tools, to stay on the POSIX side of the house. But I get it. People want standards. He's like 50-something years old, but he looks like he's in his late 30s. Yeah, it's his hair, isn't it? It's Mark Rusunovich's hair. May we all have hair like that when we're 50. Is it just me? I do not like melted ice cream. I like my ice cream unmelted. Yeah, you can run WSL if you want POSIX, or even Git Bash gives you some of it. Yeah. I mean, at this point, right? It's like it's so easy to work on those other. It's so easy to work across OSs and get access to those other things when you need them. That it's like, well, does it matter at this point? I mean, I guess it matters to some extent, but does it really matter? Just like how you look like you're in your 20s, Steven. Well, I mean, first of all, I feel like I don't look like I'm young anymore when I look at myself in the mirror. But yeah, people always seem to be surprised when I tell them I'm a 32-year-old dad of two. They're always like, "What? No way." The baby face, yeah. And maybe also too, like a little bit of like drop a little weight, thin out my face a little bit, might age me. That's all right. I don't mind looking young for a little bit longer. Okay, so what I forgot what the hell we were doing. We were talking about how to cancel long-running requests is what we're trying to do. So we have our spy store, and then our test server. So I think this actually needs to all go in our test code, not in our main package. So we'll go over here, type that. We'll import all our stuff. Why is this complaining? I think that's complaining because I have it defined over here. But I think if I remove it from here, whoops, not the store type, the interface, but if I remove these from here, everyone should be happy, I think. Yep, everyone's happy now. Okay, so let's try to run our tests. Actually, I think we need to do go mod tidy first. And then go test. Yeah, Steven got the baby face. Well, it's okay. I'm okay with how I look as long as my wife is okay with how I look. I'm good. If my wife starts complaining, things might get weird. Also, a little because your skin is somehow more smooth than mine. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I think honestly, like the fact that I'm on a tiny screen and the resolution is not 4K, the camera's doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, I think. No beard, that's the trick. Yeah, I can't grow a beard. That's yeah, the beard is not like a thing. Like that's like if I grow out my facial hair, it's like patchy. Like it doesn't. My brother-in-law has a very nice beard, so I respect those that can grow a beard because I cannot. Has anyone checked out that game made by the Primogen? I have not. Are you talking about the tower defense game that they made? Or are you talking about the game they made the set because they went to like a tower, right? They all streamed from like a big like an Airbnb, like a tower Airbnb. I haven't tried it. What can you do on that you cannot do in other stacks? Why did you choose Learn Go? I don't think there's much that I can do with Go that I couldn't do with C# really. Like really. I just wanted when I was thinking of doing Advent of Code this year, the last 2 years I've done it in C#, and so I was just like, well, how can I use Advent of Code? How can I make Advent of Code a little bit more novel this year, and how can I use it as an excuse to learn something? And so that was, so it was just like that was where the outgrowing came from, and then the Go part came in because I think at the time, TypeScript had just announced that they were rewriting the compiler in Go. And I'm a big Anders Hallsberg fan. And so I think in my mind, I think I might have said this on stream too. I was like, well, if Anders Hallsberg thinks Go is good, maybe I should go learn Go, right? And then somebody else in the chat was learning Go, and it just kind of snowballed, and here we are. So it's not to say like Go is what you should learn. It's not to say that Go is better than X, Y, Z other thing. I wish I had a better answer for you. I just don't. It's just like I'm 32. I like to do nerdy stuff like write code and solve problems for fun. So why not? I had a dream last night that I fully ripped out my beard with my hands. So weird. That is bizarre and weird. You worked hard for your beard. Treat it nicely. Yeah, the one they streamed in the tower. Yeah, I haven't tried it. It looks fun though. It looks cool. Pablo, new tools never hurt. Yeah, they never do hurt. And they also, when you learn something new, it kind of drives home what you know about the thing that you already know. Kind of compares and contrasts the differences, and you can kind of see how people approach solving the same problem differently in different places. So just kind of expand your knowledge. Yeah. And what Pablo said, Go seems like a really nice, quick language you can get up and running with really quickly, right? Main.go, and then you say go run, and there, boom. Go build, and you've got a single file that you can execute. So, for me, my main reason is so I can adapt Python, C#, Unity, Unreal, anything I can adapt to, because I really know quite a lot, though not fully mastered the language. I'd like to proudly say I just like code. Yeah, hey man, we're in the same boat. I didn't really work hard for my beard. I just didn't cut it, and it created itself. Well, that's nice that you can just not pay attention to your facial hair, and it turns into a luscious beard. Mine turns into a scrabbly, patched mess of terribleness that makes me look homeless. Arrow, what is a backend stack most capable, most supportive, and not that hard to learn? Well, I always drive people to JavaScript just because it immediately gives you access to the ability to build things that you can ship to other people because you can build it for the web. Right? Like you don't even necessarily have to have a server. You can just start writing things that are all run in the browser, right? And just static files. But then it's also nice because JavaScript does run on the server. So if you do want to do something that's a little bit more involved on the back end, you can. So for me, I always point people to JavaScript, pick runtime of your choice, you know, Bun, Dino, Node, whatever suits you, suits you. Figure out how to write JavaScript, and off you go. I kind of look like Jesus right now. It's a good time of year for you then, you know? You could probably get some good work right now. Beards get annoying when drinking coffee. I like the way my beard looked, but it was annoying. Yeah, I feel like that would, like, food too. I feel like food would be an issue. You'd have to make sure you, like, clean it out after meals and whatnot. The Walmart Jesus. I'd rather stick to my architecture refactor, yeah. Well, maybe you could moonlight as a Jesus at holiday parties. That's too funny. Did this pass? I think this passed, didn't it? Yeah, it passed. Okay, so we have our happy path. Now we need to start talking about long-running stuff that we need to cancel. Our handler will need a way of telling the store to cancel the work, so update the interface, fetch, and cancel. We will need to adjust our spies so it takes some time to return data and a way of knowing it has been told to cancel. It'll have to add cancel as a method to implement the store interface. This is interesting because this guy, you know, the way he's teaching code is so object-oriented in its approach, you know, in a language that isn't very, like, it doesn't seem like it was meant to be very object-oriented, but so much of his solutions are very object-oriented. I think we need to do this. Oops. Need to do. What is the best way to learn JavaScript? I point everyone to Free Code Camp. So that's where I point everyone to at Arrow, is start there. And the wonderful thing about them is they just have a great, like, kind of hold your hand, walk you through the basics, but the tutorials are interactive, right? So you get feedback really quick right in the browser. And then they always have you do a lot of project-based learning. So you do kind of get out of tutorial hell, because they don't really do tutorials per se. I mean, they do in some of, like, the exercises, but then to actually finish each piece of the curriculum, you have to complete a project. And that project just has a set of requirements that you have to implement. And then they have tests that verify your implementation against those requirements. So it's much more akin to, like, what you'd experience programming for other people or for your own projects, where somebody has not laid out the steps for you. They've just basically said it should have this or it should do this, and then you have to apply your knowledge, right, and use your Google Foo or your prompt engineering skills to figure out how to do this, do the implementation, how to figure it out. So that's where I send everybody, is Free Code Camp, because I feel like having a structured curriculum at the beginning really helps. Obviously, there's tons of free resources out there, like the internet's vast. So I'm just shilling for the guys I like and who I know and feel like do a good job. There you go, boot.dev. Boris dropped them. I've actually been thinking about buying a year subscription to boot.dev just because it looks like they have a really fun course. So boot.dev does cost money, I think, if you want to participate in all the interactive stuff. The content, I think, is all free, but if you want to participate in, like, the gamification and some of their kind of more more value add functionality, then you have to pay for boot.dev. I think it's $50 a month or $300 for the year or something like that. But Free Code Camp's completely free. Hence the name. Pablo, you feel like it's kind of OOP, but you haven't defined or used a single object. Structs can't inherit. Well, this is true. Yes, it lacks that. But I guess I mean OOP in the sense that, like, he keeps building these structures that encapsulate data and behavior, and he's mutating the state of the struct, right? So it's like he has this struct, and then he uses pointers to that struct, and then he mutates the state on the struct, right, through methods that exist on, you know what I mean? So that's why I say OOP, because it's like if you were truly in a functional paradigm, right, you wouldn't really do that. You would just have these bags of data and these functions that operate on the data, right? Or at least that's how I like overly simplify my thinking of functional programming, I guess, is like the mutability of a lot of his solutions are kind of strike me more as object oriented. A lot of encapsulation happening. You can access most materials for free, but certificates and extras are available with subscription. Well, there you go. I've just been freeballing print stuff in Python and stuff like def, just figuring out how it all works and what things do. What? Yep, it's good, man. Explore. How long will it take to be proficient enough in JavaScript? I have no idea because everyone's different. I'd give yourself a few months. The key isn't to ask how long it will take me to be proficient. The key is you just start. Yeah, don't worry about how long, just start. My only issue with front end is HTML and CSS. It's too boring and a lot of navigating back and forth, but CSS definitely humbles if not learned correctly. Yeah, the front end is fun, and I understand what you're saying about the back and forth, but I think your developer workflow, you just need to set it up so that the feedback is quicker, right? Like in the C# world, we have hot reload, but in most front ends now they have a live dev server with hot reload baked in, right? So you can literally have your CSS and HTML up on one half of your screen or on one monitor, and then get your editor or whatever on the other monitor or the other half of your screen, and like you literally just make edits and save the file, and the screen should show the update. So I don't really ever have that problem. And I mean, there's definitely older technologies where you have to like compile the code and then refresh the page. But now with the hot reload and the live refreshes, like you can get pretty tight dev loop on the front end, in my opinion. Okay, I started 2 days ago, but it's quite hard compared to HTML and CSS. Yeah, but you're good, Arrow. Just stick with it, man. It's gonna feel hard at the beginning, but you're 2 days in, man. Don't judge it too harsh. Like you're so early, you're good. Just keep showing up, keep doing a little bit every day. You know, it's reps, it's exposure, it's persistent. Like stick with it. You'll be good. I like me some React. Yeah, I do too. I agree with Pablo. React is pretty lovely. Yeah, the logic, right? Yeah, or what Artwork Studio says. Like when you move from HTML to CSS, you introduce this logical correctness that you have to wrestle with. But you got this, Arrow. Hang in there, man. You got this. It's totally normal feeling. That's the thing I want to communicate, right? It's like for anybody who's learned to code, we've all felt that way. You're gonna, even now, like you're gonna have, even now I have moments of overwhelm and I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this and why isn't this working, and I swear I'm gonna punch this computer in the face, and you know what I mean? That's part of it. So just like when you have those moments of overwhelm, when you have those moments of frustration, recognize them, you know, feel them, name them, take a deep breath, step away, go outside, do a pull-up, walk around, right? And then come back to it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's life. So you'll be fine. All right, back to the code. That's my soapbox, for what it's worth. I just know how lonely it can feel when you're in the early moments of learning to code. You kind of feel like you're out on this island by yourself. So I would hate for anybody to give up on something because they have that feeling, you know. We need to add cancel up here. Not that everyone needs to learn to code. That's the other thing. I don't want to try to mean that everyone needs to learn how to code, but I feel like if you know, if you do want to learn how to code, right? I don't want you to be scared off by it. And it passed, okay? Good deal. Now what? Let's add a new test. Great. Although I probably should wrap this one. Test.run. I'm not really sure what to call it. Original. Oh, this should be T. Not test, T. Alright, now this should fail, huh? Go test. Speaking of tests, what do you think I should improve for the learn? I haven't had a chance to look at Artwork Studio. I haven't had a chance to come back to that project or even really think about it. So I appreciate you doing some initial work on it. I think that's probably going to, more than likely for me, that's going to be like a 2026 thing, more than likely. Given where we are in the year, you know, just with learning Go, advent of code, trying to like continue to build my own stuff on the side, you know, my free time. So, but I do think it'd be really cool to have a learn C# with test project. I think that'd be very cool for the C# world. Thank you guys for encouraging Arrow and helping them out and sharing your opinions and advice. It's really nice. It's nice to have people, when you're on that journey, it's nice to have people to commiserate with and get feedback from. So thank you, chat, for doing that. Yeah, 2026. Yeah, I think it'd be like early 2026. I don't think it's a super in-depth problem to solve, right? It's just authoring the content and getting it laid out and then deploy. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't think it's necessarily like a difficult thing to do, you know, but it's just organizing it. Yeah, I appreciate it, Raphael. That's very nice of you. We kind of, I think you can empathize, right? Like I can very vividly remember like 2021 sitting down and trying to go through Advent, you know, trying to go through Free Code Camp and just feeling like I was kind of on this island to myself. And then over the years now being exposed to more and more devs and being able to go to developer conf, you know, like you slowly realize you're not on an island. But when you're early on, it feels that way. Like very few, especially if like no one in your life is really in that world either. Like you don't have a wife or a partner or friends who are doing that same type of thing. You just feel like you're like, does anybody care that I can't figure out recursion? Like there's no one to talk to about it, you know? Guess my age. 71. 71. Yeah. Yeah, console.log. Yeah, the first time you print something to the terminal, it's a great feeling. All right. It's important that you derive your context so that cancellations are propagated throughout the call stack for a given request. The context, okay, so these values form a tree. When a context is canceled, all contexts derived from it are also canceled. Okay, so that's important to know. what we do is derive a new canceling context from our request, which returns us a cancel function. We then schedule that function to be called in 5 milliseconds by using time.afterfunc. Finally, we use this new context in our request by calling request with context. Okay, let me read this code. So the new request, so this test package, right? This is the test package for testing HTTP stuff in Go. It's built in. It returns a request. Then we use the context package to say with cancel, and we get the context from that request. Okay. So this is our canceling context, and this is our cancel function. Then we pass the cancel function into the afterfunc time. Then we take the derived context, right? So again, this is the context that we derived from the request context, and we create a new request that is using that derived context. Then we do something called new recorder, which I don't know. This API is unfamiliar to me. And then we serve it. I don't think, did mine pass? I think, no, mine failed. Store was not told to cancel. Okay. So store was not told to cancel. That's because we didn't wait long enough, right? Our timeout is what? 5 milliseconds? So we need to wait 5 milliseconds to get the cancellation. Remember to be disciplined with TDD. Write the minimal amount of code to make our test pass. This makes this test pass, but it doesn't feel good, does it? We surely shouldn't be canceling. We shouldn't be canceling cancel before we fetch on every request. Yeah, that feels dumb. Hey, cancel the store and then now use it to fetch. Okay, we'll need to update our happy path test to assert that it does not get canceled. Okay, we can do that. Oh, we need to say store is equal to spy store response data, like this. Store, but we need to get a pointer. Okay. We need to run both our tests to make sure that our happy path still works. I have lost so many projects to the ether from OS crashes and lost equipment. Really? Well, hold on. Before I jinx myself, knock on some wood. This has not happened to me yet. Arrow, every day, Steven, I'll update you with my... Yeah, man, for sure. We'd love to hear it, too. I mean, you're in the Discord now, so put it in the coding channel. Like, it helps to have accountability. It helps to have people that are expecting you to show up and, you know, show up and tell them what you did. And I think both of my things just failed. Yeah, run both tests and the happy path should now be failing. Okay, that's what we expect. Now we're forced to do a more sensible implementation. So we have our request. We get the context. We have a channel for our data. We run a go routine with an anonymous function that takes the store, captures the store in the closure, fetches some data, then channels or then sends that data through our channel. And then we're basically racing here to say, if we receive the data, before, I guess, the cancellation. If we receive the data before the cancellation, then we'll print it. If we don't, then we're going to cancel the store. Context is a method done, which returns a channel, which gets sent a signal. Okay, so this is the context channel. So this is how the context could communicate back over here that something happened. We want to listen to that signal and call store. It's interesting. Channels are it's almost a little like event-driven programming. It's almost that. It's not that, but it's almost that, right? It's like this way to have work happening over there and be able to sort of wait and listen for that work telling me that stuff is happening. It's almost like a way to do event-driven programming in a way, which might be a bastardized way to look at it, but that's where my brain went. If we get it, but we want to ignore it, if our store manages to fetch before it. To manage this, we run fetch in a Go routine, and it will write the result into a new channel. We then use select to effectively race to the new asynchronous processes. And then we either write a response or cancel it. Okay, well, let's copy this. Implementation. The concepts make sense, but the code feels foreign. Does that make sense? It's what's weird. It's like the conceptually, I'm like, yeah, okay, I get what you're trying to accomplish here, but this just looks so weird. You know? Because it's just not how you would write this in with like an async await construct. This is not how you would do it. Also, I kind of like a space here. I don't know if that's okay to do, but I guess not, because it just auto formatted back. But I kind of wish there was a space between here. And then they wanted me to refactor my code too, or refactor my test code. Hey, Steven, I see that you're writing code, but I never see the output of this. Are you only working on the back end side? Yeah, there's no front end to this at the moment. We're just learning the basics of Go. So we're basically we're writing code in a file, and then we're writing some other code in another file that tests the code. Like, we're writing code in one file that we can run. Then when we have code in another file that tests that code that we wrote in the other file, right? And it just outputs to the terminal. So there's we're not building a website or an app or anything like that. But maybe in another week or so, we're gonna spend a little bit of time doing advent of code problems, which will be more of this kind of. So we'll eventually get to some projects with Go, but for now, our main focus is definitely preparing for like December 1st, right? So we can, so it's not very painful. So it's not as painful, I should say. But we will for sure. Where were we? We're going to refactor we're going to refactor this. Can you connect Go to front end? Yeah, for sure. You can actually do you can just do server rendered apps with Go, right? I think they use a template language called Temple, I think is what they use. So you can just, and obviously you don't have to use Temple. You can just send HTML. You can just have an HTTP server and just write HTML, back in your response as a string of text, So you can most definitely just serve a front end from a Go backend, right? But then you could also have just like a Go API and then a front end written in something else, right? So nothing about Go would prevent you from doing things that you would do with any other, back end, front end type of architecture or stack, that you would normally think of. Also, what do you recommend for learning TypeScript? Which site? Ah, man, that's tough. Here's the thing with the TypeScript thing. I didn't follow much of like a structured course for that because I already knew C# before I learned JavaScript. So then I learned JavaScript. And so picking up TypeScript was actually like, for me, felt very natural because the generic type system, the type annotate, like it all felt very familiar to C#. Like obviously the big difference is like where you put the type annotations on things, and there's some subtle differences in the type system, right? But it just felt very natural. So like I basically just like looked at other people's code and was like, oh, okay, that's how you say something's a string, and oh, okay, that's how you declare your return type, right? I don't have any great recommendations on the TypeScript front. I know boot.dev has a TypeScript course. I've never been through it, so it's difficult for me to recommend it. Maybe I think maybe WebDev Simplified has like a TypeScript crash course video, and I really like WebDev Simplified's YouTube channel. So his name's Kyle. He's actually based in, I think he's based in Nebraska, so he's a Midwesterner like me, which I respect because there doesn't seem like a lot of Midwesterners get much appreciation in the tech sphere. Web Dev Simplified. Let's see if he has a TypeScript course. Or some sort of like maybe like a 30-minute crash course. Let's see, TypeScript. Well, he has a whole playlist on it, so maybe this would be a good place to start. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I should have a better recommendation. I just don't. So maybe start with his playlist here. I don't know what's all on it, but maybe just go kind of working through some of these videos. Looks like he says how to build your first TypeScript project. You know, I mean the thing is TypeScript is just a superset of JavaScript, so there's not a ton to learn other than where do you put your type annotations, right? Like that's the, you know, how to use TSC to compile your TypeScript to JavaScript. This might be a hot take, but the most complex thing to learn about TypeScript might be the tsconfig file. Good night, Arrow. See you, man. Sam, learn by doing. TypeScript isn't a hard language to get into, especially if doing web dev, since everything is so visual. Yeah, I kind of fuck with what Sam said because I think you should learn JavaScript before you learn TypeScript, and if you already know JavaScript, then layering the types on top of it is pretty low effort in most cases. Like I said, I think understanding the tsconfig file might be more challenging than figuring out how to do types in TypeScript. Yeah, and Boris, I appreciate you seconding my web dev simplified recommendation. His channel. I owe his channel so much. I owe web dev simplified and web dev Cody and there's another channel out there. Like I owe those guys so many coffees. There's so many videos that I've watched that have either like helped me better understand something or shown me how to do something I didn't know how to do. I usually teach TS as turn the strict off, make it as permissive as possible, then add types to your function parameters. Don't bother with generics or any of that. Use any as much as needed. Then you try to turn more strict checks, reduce the amount of any, and then you'll need to create your own types and use generics and all that. Yeah, that makes sense. You kind of like slow walk them. Like, you know, it's like, here's this thing called any. It's wonderful, but eventually never use it again. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, slow walk them. Yeah. Generics, I think, are the most overwhelming part of TypeScript. But again, for me, C# has generics, so I was already kind of familiar with this idea of generics. And I just feel like generics is something that you really only get into when you're writing like library level code most of the time, right? If you're writing a lot of app code, for the most part, you can get away with never touching generics. I mean, you might have some code where you repeat yourself more than what you might need to, right? But you could probably just avoid them altogether for most of your time building an app. I know I got distracted here, so I'm just gonna copy this and paste that up here. And then I'm gonna come down to this guy. And I'm gonna copy all that. I'm gonna replace this. Okay, store is still not happy though. And why isn't store happy? Or why isn't server happy? This approach is okay, but is it idiomatic? Does it make sense for our web server to be concerned with manually canceling store? What if store also happens? I feel like I screwed something up because this is not happy about me passing a store here. This is what happens when you talk too much while you're supposed to be learning to code. Cannot use store as store value and argument to server. Spy store does not implement store. Missing cancel method. Oh, because I deleted that. Yeah. So we'll bring all that back. We'll introduce those new test methods. And we'll come down here. We'll paste those there. Like that. And then we'll extend spy store to have a T of type testing.tb. Nope, of T. That. Now we'll replace our store or our tests, and then everybody will be happy, I think. There we go. Now let's try to run our tests and see if they pass. See our work studios, have fun, man. How far along are you, Steven? How many lessons to go? Did you catch? I did not catch up during we had a very productive day yesterday, though. I'm not terribly far to the end of this. I think I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think I'm probably like a good day, like a good solid day. I could probably get to the end. Maybe a good solid 2 days. But yeah, I'm making progress, not as fast as I would have liked, but that's what happens when you try to learn and stream and engage with chat all at the same time, right? It's just the nature of the beast. But I'm having far more fun learning this way than if I was just sitting here silently by myself, working alone. And I hate whenever I open that menu, I lose my spot on the page. Where was I? Hey, Ali? I think is how you say your name? Ali? Thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Okay, so this approach is okay, but is it idiomatic? Does it make sense for our web server to be concerned with manually canceling store? What if store also happens to depend on other slow running processes? We'll have to make sure that store.cancel correctly propagates the cancellation to all. Yeah, that doesn't seem fun. One of the main points of context is that it is a consistent way of offering cancellation. Incoming requests to a server should create a context, and outgoing calls to servers should accept a context. The chain of function calls between them must propagate the context, optionally replacing it with a derived context created using with cancel, with deadline, with timeout, or with value. When a context is canceled, all contexts derived from it are also canceled. At Google, we would require that Go programmers pass a context parameter as the first argument to every function on the call path between incoming and outgoing requests. This allows Go code developed by many different teams to interrupt well. It provides simple control over timeouts and cancellation and ensures that critical values like security credentials transit Go programs properly. I'm guessing they have some sort of a linter rule that probably enforces this, because this would be seems like it would be difficult to enforce if it's not baked into the language, right? If it's just a convention. Pause for a moment and think of the ramifications of every function having to send in a context and the ergonomics of that. Well, I mean, it does give me pause, but I'm used to C#, and when you are in async and await, every async method needs to have a cancellation token. Feeling a bit uneasy? Good. Let's try and follow that approach through and instead pass through the context to our store and let it be responsible. That way it can also pass the context through to its descendants, and they too can be responsible for stopping them. So let's update our store interface to show the new responsibilities. So fetch needs to take a context value and can potentially now return not just a string but also an error. Delete the code inside of our handler for now and update our spy. I don't want to start this at 7:06 because I won't be able to finish this concept. So I'm just going to, where are we on this page? Is there some way I can link to the spot where I'm at? Anyways, I'll just remember I'm at the place where we're going to start passing the context around. That's where I'm at. All right, well, the time has come, people. I must return to my real life and away from my digital one. I have to go upstairs and take a shower and get ready for work, but also see my family and make another cup of coffee. What up? I've been getting into C++. I understand the syntax and what to do, just don't know what to build. Ah, that's tough, man. Filthy potato. Your username is great, dude. It's so good. Filthy potato. Yeah, I don't have a ton of help with the C++ stuff because I don't know how to write C++. As far as like knowing what to build, the advice that I repeat again and again here is like, find a problem that you understand really well that like touches your life and try to solve that. Like recently, let's see, what have I built recently? Recently I built a viewer count for my prompt here, which is what you see flashing on the screen. I recently built a little be right back message for the stream. That's just a simple PowerShell function. What else? I built a tool that helps me edit my shorts from my streams. I built a tool to help me try to write blog posts more frequently. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think it's like it helps if you try to find things in your life that either one, solve a problem, or two, bring you a lot of joy or delight, and try to use your knowledge of code to do something with those. You know? Oh yeah, Pablo, I forgot to show you because it was your idea. This was Pablo's idea. Pablo's idea was, hey, you need to come up with a better be right back message, because instead, what I was doing before was I was just typing it like on the terminal, like I would be like, be right back, you know, and somebody was like, I think it was Pablo, somebody said, hey, you need to like make that better. And so I just wrote a simple PowerShell function that just prints this text to the screen, and then the Steam is basically just calling like set cursor and then writing over those positions in a while loop with a slight delay, right? So it's nothing fancy, but it was fun to write. It took me maybe 30, 45 minutes. The Steam was the hardest thing to write because I was trying to like perfectly position it and make sure when I clear the screen, that was the most complicated part of it. Someone probably could have asked an LLM to do it in 5 minutes, but I wanted to do it myself. Yeah, I don't have any much better advice than that, man. But also great username. Yeah, make a terminal message. Yeah, you killed it, man. It's a great idea. Pablo always has the best ideas. He has the best ideas and the best wisdom. So if you see Pablo in chat, you should bombard him with all your questions. He's gonna love that I said that. Okay, guys. Well, let's do. Should we do our customary wrap up? Pablo, my man. Yeah. He's gonna get inundated with pings now. I think we should do our wrap up. Yeah. So how many of us are here? There's 40 of us, something like that. 30 of us. Yeah. Nice big group. That's good. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. I will answer them to the worst of my abilities. I love that. Okay, so first and foremost, if you want to interact with me or anybody in chat, like Pablo, like the wise Pablo, the best place to find us is Discord. Stream Elements has been posting that link in the chat throughout the stream, but I'll post it one more time. You just go to discord.stephenfreeborn.com. It'll take you to the invite link, and you can go from there. As far as schedule, if you're curious, you want to come back and hang out with us again, my schedule currently looks like 4:15 a.m. Central Standard Time to about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm trying to stick to that almost every morning. There's really not a good reason for me not to do it every morning because my whole family's asleep during those hours of the day. So there's really, and my work doesn't start till later in the morning. So there's really not a good reason for me not to do it. So I should be here most mornings. So if you see me live, stop in, say hi to chat and me. We'd love to hear from you, even if that's all it is, just to stop in and say hi. Otherwise, as far as like plans for the week and plans for the next few days, it'll be more Go. We're going to keep learning Go. And then as soon as I finish the course that we're doing right now, Learn Go with Tests, we're going to switch over and actually start solving some old Advent of Code problems. We'll probably do 2 or 3 of those, and then we'll start trying to build some projects. Maybe build like a simple server rendered application web app, and then maybe a simple CLI tool, and just kind of explore what the Go ecosystem has to offer from an app development perspective, and kind of get our feet wet and get more practice writing Go. So that's the plan. All right, I appreciate you guys. If it's Monday for you, I hope you have an awesome start to your week. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. If it's already at the end of your day, or if it's already Tuesday, I hope you had a wonderful Monday. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. If I can see you tomorrow morning, great. If not, hopefully I'll see you around the YouTubes and maybe a comment of a video or a short, something like that. And yeah, appreciate you guys. All right. Y'all have a good morning. Thanks, chat. Bye, Artwork Studios. Bye, Wilo Gamer Pro. Bye, Pablo. Filthy Potato. See you, man. See you, Raphael. All right, guys. Bye, y'all. Bye. See you, chat.